Hi, this is just a quick video demonstration of the Canopy software that we have in our Tree Plotter platform. And this is what we're using to sort of try and show tree equity across Birmingham. So on the initial view, we've got the city divided into constituencies, and these are shaded ranging from light to dark in terms of the amount of tree canopy cover available, and this has been determined using the national tree map from Blue Sky data. So you can see as we hover over each one of these constituencies, we can see the difference in canopy cover and also the possible planting area. Now that was calculated using the Ordnance Survey and Masters and Map green space application, which highlights soft landscaping. But also we've looked at open areas as well, but excluding things like sporting facilities, lakes, rivers, streams, etc. We're also on the drop-down menu. If we move over to the left-hand side, so we're able to change this to ward basis as well, so we can talk to our individual councillors about the canopy cover in their ward. We're also able to take this down to the lower super output area. So the lower super output areas, for those who don't know, are areas of around 650 households or 1,500 people. So that's the map there showing the LOSAs, and you can see that it's a lot more in detail now. You can see that even where we had good canopy cover across the whole of a constituency or ward, we can now see where there are slight deficiencies compared with other areas. So here, this part of Sutton is down at 13% compared with this one, which is at 50, well, showing at 51% at the moment. We can also filter this by looking at canopy cover, so we can reduce down from, we can use the sliders to bring the map down to show those areas that are within the set parameters of canopy cover. So we can exclude looking at the higher areas, so we can see which are the lowest canopy cover areas. And we could also do the same as well through looking at possible planting areas. We then have our plan tool, which if we move on to that, now this is where things start to get interesting. So this is only shows at the LOSA level, and this allows us to set a weight or priority to particular factors. So if we just scroll down this left-hand menu, we're starting with areas with low existing tree canopy cover, the amount of impervious surfaces, the possible urban tree canopy levels. We've used air quality, urban heat island, stormwater, and then we've included in there the indices of multiple deprivation as well. So we've got education rank, income rank, employment rank, health rank, crime rank, barriers to housing and services rank, and living environment rank as well. So some of these actually are probably more relative to what we're looking at in terms of tree equity, but they were available, and we've included them in our platform for the time being until we see how valuable some of these indices actually are. And then we're also able to filter by site suitability as well. So if we're looking at where we want to grow our tree canopy, we can use these sliders to help work that out. So what I'll do is I'm just going to set all these to none, and then we'll just show you a little bit about how some of these factors work in. Okay, so now we've got the map just showing the boundaries of the LOSAs, so we can start to dial in a weighting for how we might want to prioritize where we need to be planting trees in order to fulfill our canopy cover targets and bring tree equity to the city. So we're going to give areas with low existing canopy cover a high priority. So you can see that the red areas that are showing up here are those with low canopy cover. And we can see that with 639 LOSAs across Birmingham, and this is ranked 33rd out of that. So we can just hover over here as well, and we can see that out of that LOSA, 89% of the total area of that LOSA is not covered by tree canopy. If we start looking at some of the other factors, we should start to see the map changing. So if, for instance, we also wanted to not only target areas with low canopy cover, but perhaps we also wanted to give some weight to areas with urban heat island, we can dial that in. So we can see there's been a shift there now because we're adding a weighting to some of the LOSA areas. So now this has shifted very much over to the centre and east of the city, which we know historically from other data is particularly affected by urban heat islands. And if we add in air quality to that as well, we'll give that, say, a medium weighting. I'll dial in, it concentrates it down a little bit more. And if we bring in, and we're saying stormwater reduction as well, we'll put that up to high just as the example on this one. So there we go. But we can actually see that there's a few areas that have picked up now heading out in the south of the city as well, which is along places like the River Ray, Bournebrook. So we know that we have particular issues with flooding along here. But the other areas that are flooding are around here. So we've got things like the River Ray and the Bournebrook still coming in through here, but the Tame that follows through and the River Cole. So if we want to now start looking at how we prioritize these down, we move down then to our filter by site suitability. So the more we slide this over, we start to lose some of those LOSAs until we get to those which are the highest suitability for meeting those targets that we've predicted. And we can keep going and bring this down and down and down, 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 down. For this example, we'll just bring it down to these few LOSAs. So now we've got those. These are going to be our key areas that we might be looking at for increasing canopy cover and also meeting those targets that we've mentioned there. So this is where we then move on to our Grow tab within here. So we'll just click on that. And this here, it says this is designed to help us evaluate potential urban tree canopy goals and the numbers of trees to reach the goal with just 3 inputs. So we've got tree canopy percentage, mortality rates, average tree size and maturity. So here we go. We've got this at LOSA and we've got 2 options here. We've got on this left-hand menu again, we've got target canopy percentage. So if we wanted to sort of say we want all of these areas to be 30% canopy cover or 25% canopy, we can decide to dial that in, or we can decide that actually over the course of the next 5 or 10 years, say we might want to increase the canopy by say 10 or 15%. We'll pick 20% for this, I suppose, just to be clear on that. We can then dial in the average tree crown diameter as well. So this is the crown diameter maturity. So we can decide that actually some of these real inner city areas, we might be restricted on the size of trees that we can plant. So we might decide that we can only plant trees with a 5-meter crown diameter maturity. And as we move into more urban and peri-urban areas, we might be able to plant larger trees. We can actually mix and match as well a little bit on this as well. So I can select a ward, and if I press the G key on my keyboard, that'll add it with these factors that we've got at the moment. I can do the same with another ward, another LOSA there. So I've added those using these figures. I could now decide actually I'm going to pick a much smaller crown, but I'm going to say we're going to have 8% mortality. So for every 800 trees that we plant, 8, we might expect 8 to be lost. In reality, it might be higher or lower than that. We don't know that. So I'm going to add this one, this one, this one. I'm going to add the other LOSAs in. Those ones there. So there we go. We've had those there. So as I scroll down now on this bar, I've now got the model tree canopy. Well, we can see model tree canopy, and this is in percent. So it was current 28, modelled was 29%. Overall, that's where we get to by adding that percentage of canopy cover. And then overall urban tree canopy in hectares, it's showing that we'll be going from 4,689 hectares of urban tree canopy through to 4,769 hectares. So we're increasing the hectareage of that. And then it's also telling us that we'd need to be planting around 30,415 trees to achieve that canopy cover. And that's considering the size of the canopy. So obviously the smaller the canopy of the tree, the more trees you're going to have to be planting to reach your canopy cover goals. We can have a quick look at the ecosystem services benefits from this as well. So on here, this is using the iTree Eco Services assessments. So based on a typical tree. So we can see what the current values are in terms of overall monetary benefits. This is in dollars because this is an American system, so we'd have to convert this to pounds. That's not quite up to in play yet. So, but we've got overall monetary benefits as it stands, as it's modelled with the data that we've put in, and the net values as well. We can also do the same for air quality. So we can scroll down again to look at pollutants removed. So this is looking at the pounds of pollutants removed. Again, net, and we've got the same for carbon. So we've got, so this is going to be quite useful for us in looking at how we might be able to help meet the City Council's net zero carbon ambition. So we can start to look at what impacts this is having and how many more pounds, or we can convert this to kilos and tons, obviously, of stormwater removed. And again, for carbon removed. And we can also talk about stormwater in the same basis as well. We also can get out here, we can get a grow report. So this is then showing us those individual LOSAs, and it shows us the individual existing canopy, what we've modelled it to, the net canopy change, the number of trees required to reach that goal based at that average tree canopy diameter, mortality rate, and then it's giving us the added ecosystem service benefits as well. So we can see that through there. So we can see that some areas we'll need to be planting significantly more trees than others in order to bring that up. Obviously, we jiggled the figures a little bit as we were going through that. So I think that just was a short introduction, really, I suppose, to this tool and how it's working. I know we sort of like talking about it as being tree equity, and I suppose that's, although we haven't included things like ethnicity in here, I think we've been using it to see how we can be bringing the benefits of ecosystem services to the people of Birmingham and where they need it most. Obviously, with using LOSA data, we can tie that into other demographic data as well. So hopefully that's just giving you a bit of a flavour, and then I think we'll leave it there.